This episode of Broken Bones and Bullshit is sponsored by Ozcan Rule. Darrell, Doyle, welcome on.
Thanks for having me, Bennett. Good to see you, buddy.
So, how did the whole rodeo career start for yourself?
Probably a bit of outlaw in me. My dad did a bit of tent show riding, and I just loved riding calves and stuff when I was a kid, you know. It's how it all starts for everybody, really.
So, your old man used to ride bucking horses?
He did a bit of tent show riding many years ago, you know.
Explain to listeners, because a lot of the listeners are a lot younger than we are.
Well, the tent shows go way back to like Thorpe McConville, McLeod's Buck Jump Show, Gills. They kept it going for many years. And Dad just went there and probably had a few beers, too many, and got on and had a few rides, but he was hooked on it, you know. And I don't know, I must have inherited the gene somewhere, but...
Did you ever get on in the tent?
Beg your pardon?
Did you ever get on in the tent?
3 times. I got on at Gatton, I got on Bonanza, and on Wednesday night I got on Bonanza at Ipswich. And then on the following Saturday at Rosewood, I got on Bonanza again. He bucked me off twice. I got him a third time.
So you got on the same horse 3 times?
He's bucking horse of the year. He's only a little fella, but my man, he had some fire. You know? He's a good little horse. But he was one of the Guild's best buck jumpers ever, you know. And
so did your old man ride bulls or?
No, he just got on horses and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you start on the horses or you started on steers?
No, just like young Dan, I started out on the calves and then got onto the steers, and then you progress upwards to bulls and horses. Always wanted to be a bareback rider. And it looked like fun, but it wasn't. Until you kind of got a handle on it, you know. Yeah, it was all good.
Well, don't they say that about bareback riding, that it's the easiest sport to ride for time, but the hardest to make look good?
Yeah, you got to be tidy. You can't be sloppy, and I've been both. Yeah, but one follows the other.
What was it about bareback riding that just took your eye?
Just looked tough.
Yeah.
I loved it because the first guy I ever saw live at a like a rodeo, not a movie, was at the Gold Coast at Mudgee Bar years ago. Oh, the Dude Ranch they called it, Vic Goff's Dude Ranch, and Evan Rayner come out from New Zealand, and then Jim Clifford come out from Canada. And they spurred horses in the neck neat and tidy. And I thought, shit, I want to do that. You know? So that's probably where it all kicked off, you know.
Yeah. And you ended up having a good career in the end?
It could have been better. I liked to party too much. You know? I just thought it was, you know, it was fun. But I married young. I married at 23. And we had family and that, you know. So, and I still kept rodeoing. But, yeah, I could have done a lot more. But I'm glad it went the way it went.
Yeah.
So I'm happy, you know. Yeah.
What was one of your best moments in the bucking horses?
Probably when I won the bareback riding at... Oh, it's a long story. You want to hear it?
Yeah, we'll hear it. We got plenty of time.
Well, every year on my dad's birthday, the 17th of May, when Dad was alive, he died early. He died at 51. I'd have a drink on his birthday and he'd have a drink on my birthday. So it was the 17th of May, Dad's birthday. It was a Friday night. Saturday was a rodeo at Moore up in the Brisbane Valley. I hung one on. I wasn't feeling real good. So I getting to the rodeo, and I said to Shirley, my wife, I said, gee, if I draw that big rank mongrel thing of Brian Cover's, that thing they call Cyclone, he's getting the gate, I'm turning him out. And she said, I hadn't worked for a while because there was no work about at the time. She said, I'm paying your entries, you'll be getting on. So I didn't draw him. Luckily, I drew around him. and I drew this Rickety Kate, and I'm looking at the board, the entry board there. Frank Green's walked past. He's a good old bareback rider. Had a bit to do with him in his learning days. Frank said, "You're mounted today." I said, "Why is that, Frank?" He said, "You got Rickety Kate." And I hadn't been to a rodeo for 6 months because I had a split sternum, you know. He said, "She's got every trick in the book." Oh, really? Anyway, cut a long story short. The judge, the shoot boss, Roy Dilger, is a great fellow, Roy. Sadly he's gone now, but he's walked up, and here I am. I'm hung over to hell, and I'm down the side of this mare's neck, just dry reaching, and she's a big, strong mare too, you know, and I'm down like that. And Roy said, "You're it, Darrell." Oh, one ahead of you, Darrell. He looked after me pretty good. So anyway, and cut a long story short, I win the bareback riding over anyway. But she jerked the hell out of me. Crashed on her guts right on the whistle. It just fell out, turned upside down in mid-air. But I never want to get on her again. Never.
Pulled everything on you apart from a knife.
Well, Nelly pulled a knife on me. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, good days.
So did you get on just bareback horses, or you doing a lot?
Oh, I rode bulls and broncs for years, and then I tore my groin. Oh, gee, that was a long time ago. I tore my groin, and it never ever came good, real good, you know. So I just stuck with the bareback horses.
Yeah, and you were able to get away with it with the bareback horses.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
So it just doesn't put the pressure on you.
If they buck me off, I just blame it. Oh, my groin's crook, you know, the bad groin.
Everyone knows it's no good.
Yeah.
So that probably was a highlight for you in your career?
I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just about the rodeo, it's about the people. To me, the biggest thing with rodeo is the people. Like, I'd rock up home with 4 or 5 cowboys when I lived in Brisbane there, and I'd say to Mum, "I got a few boys, Mum, they're a bit hungry." "Yeah, righto." So she'd go and feed them and whatnot, you know, and that's the thing that's just kept going. Since I got married, and Shirley, we've had cowboys in and out of the house to this day, even now. My daughter Jody and Rick, they do exactly the same thing. You look after everybody. If they haven't got a bed, they got a floor. You know, it's the done thing. Yeah. If you're serious about what you do, it's a done thing.
Yeah, well, we've had plenty of breakfast and that at your place.
Well, you know a bit about that.
Everyone's fed and everyone's got a bed.
Yeah, for sure. And a little sip too. You know,
Just a couple of quiet ones.
Oh, well, whatever.
Taking people in, like you've had a lot of internationals stay at your place?
I love it when they come over. Like I get the Americans, the Mexicans, the Brazilians, the Canadians, New Zealanders, all come to our place. They come to Rick and Jody's place here. It's wonderful, you know. And that's what rodeo's whole thing for me has been about. Is not so much the rodeo. I mean, that was great, but the people. Yeah. And you don't just meet them for 5 minutes. Some you do. You never see them again. But that's friendships that last a lifetime. It's wonderful.
And it's amazing how, like, one person's generosity, like when I met Rubens, from being a good friend of yours, he instantly took me in.
How good is he?
Because he, like, that's how rodeo works. You don't even have to know the person, but if you know someone they know, then everyone just takes you in, and that's...
You're automatically there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Because it's like a recommendation thing. Yeah, it's wonderful.
So if you're in with Darrell, they know that you're a good-hearted bugger. And
see, I won't have idiots at my place. You know, I'm a big enough idiot myself, so I don't need any more around me. You know,
no encouragement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, you got any stories from having the Brazilians out at your place?
Oh. Yeah,
there's something about the haunted room or something. I hear everyone.
Well, there's a pink room in the house that's supposed to be haunted, but no, it didn't bother them. They didn't whinge about it, you know. But I didn't tell them neither.
What is the story about the pink room? I've heard it go around a few times.
Well, I don't really know because the house belonged to Rick's uncle, Mick Rulin. It was a lovely old home, and Rick had used to be talking to Mick on the phone and things like that, and Mick would say, "Oh, that little girl's in here again." And this is when he had all these marbles before he got crook and died, you know. But he'd say there was a little girl that used to come walk through the house and all that sort of stuff. And I don't get that sort of stuff. I don't know. I really don't know. But I do tell some people that pink room is haunted. Don't go in there. My brother's living there right now. Yeah. That's the way it is.
So, how many kids did you have?
One, that's Jody, but we lost a little girl when she was only a baby. You know, and that was a very sad thing for us. And to this day, it's a very sad thing for us and Jody. Jody never forgets her little sister she never had. Yeah. But we lost her when she was 20 years old, actually.
Yeah, wow.
Holly. We named her Holly, and yeah, it's just one of those sad things that happen, you know. Yeah.
And you weren't able to push Jody into the barrel racing or a rodeo event?
Oh, she I don't know. She did a little bit of that over at Bob's place one time. Old mate of mine, Bob Armitage, he did a bit of roping or barrel racing or something. But no, she's sort of too busy. Now she's like a rodeo mum, you know.
Yeah.
She's flat out.
Yeah.
She's like a mother, Shirley. They never stop. Shirley never stops. She's out of bed before I am most days, and she's just a goer. Well, and Jody's the same.
What did you think of Rick when he first got brought home?
Loved him.
Yeah.
Long before I ever met Rick, I was standing at a rodeo at Widgie with a mate of mine. He was 2 times Australian champion bull rider, Bill Nichols, who's one of my greatest friends ever. And this kid named Ricky Rulin come out on this bull, and oh my God, he made a ride right in front of us. And this bull was jumping, kicking, turning back, and hitting the ground hard. And this kid he impressed me. I said, "What do you think of him, Bill?" He said, "That's a bull rider, and that's Ricky." And Jesus, about 5 years later, he's my son-in-law. I mean, how good's that?
Yeah, it worked out pretty good.
I love him. Yeah, we both do.
Yeah.
Sure,
yeah. You wouldn't find a nicer guy.
You won't. Unless it's Rubens Barbosa or Francisco Morales.
Yeah, we've got to import them.
Yeah. And I got to mention one more. 2 more. Now I've got a metal block. The 2 we talked about before, bloody Morales. Not Morales.
What's
you have to
what's
cut
old
that
mate
bit out.
Nah, that's all right. What's old mate that come over and stayed?
Guillermo Marchi and bloody Adriano.
Adriano,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
We should get them. They're some of the 2 biggest names in.
Oh, they're my best. and one of the highlights of my life was Shirley and I went to Brazil, and I was photographing Barretos. It's written as Barretos, but it's pronounced Barretos, and it's a 4-day event. It's the 60th year anniversary it was. It's a 4-day event, and they have 80,000 people a day. So here I am, aficionado, down there with a camera, doing the photographs, and I thought, this is cool, you know. Adriano has grabbed Shirley, took her up with his wife, took her up to the VIP area. That's the last I see of her. So I knew she was protected. She's up there, she's good. And I'm down there shooting the event for 4 days. And on the last day, my CF card on my camera was full up. It holds about 600 or something. It's full up. So I'm standing on the back of the chute, with a couple of friends from Mexico, a couple of friends from America. Yalami's standing down there in front of me getting on his bull for the final round. I couldn't take any more photos. I'd run out of gear. And I reached over and I said, "Hey, Yalami, good luck, my friend." He reached up in front of all them people. He gave me the biggest hug. And he said, "Thank you, buddy." Went out and won the round, won the whole deal,
Kraus.
you know. That he can ride,
Oh,
you know. And it was just so lovely. And looking, all these people looking, and they're thinking, "Who the hell is he?" I'm just his friend, and proud to be one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't find better people. Just
You won't.
nice, just yeah.
Yeah, love them.
Mm.
Love them to death.
And everything about them, the way they approach bull riding, even the way they approach life, is just
Yep.
they just wear their hearts on their sleeves.
They
and,
do.
Mm,
They do. Yeah.
and it's a credit to them, and I'm glad a lot of them are so successful because they deserve it.
They got some good humour.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I
I
reckon
wish
they
I
make-
could speak their language.
I reckon they make good Aussies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good fellas. Yeah. Oh, we've had them all out home, you know, and I get a good friend of mine from Mexico, bloody Gustavo Pedrero. He's got the pair of clippers, and we got Lucas DeVito sitting under the old fig tree up there, and he's giving him the works. He's scalping him. And it was just the funniest thing, you know. It was just the funniest thing. Bloody, he's shearing him.
So, how long did you end up rodeoing for?
Ooh, where's a guess? I started when I was 11. You'll have to do the mathematics and not real flash on it.
Oh,
I started when I was 11 and I quit when I was 31. I had 5 years off. And the heaviest thing I picked up in 5 years was a camera. And then I come back and did 2 pro rodeos, drew the same horse twice, won 2 bareback ridings. Then I quit.
so 20 years,
Yeah, more
if
probably.
my maths does me right.
You math?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you good with mathematics?
Not really.
I'm no good.
I know how to count cash. That's about it.
Oh, I can count cattle, that's about it. Yeah.
And how was it like now your grandson Dan riding bulls, and how was it watching him come up?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's kind of like my mother years ago when I was a kid riding calves. She'd go to rodeo and watch, and it was just so hard on her nerves, you know. And I used to say, "Oh, harden up, Mum. Say, only riding a calf, yeah, it's all good." Now I know what she's going through, because when Dan and his young mates, when they ride, I always fear for their, not fear, it's not fear, always concern for their safety, you know. But they know what they're doing, you know. It only takes a bit of bad shit to go wrong, and I know that can happen. You get stepped on here and there. But I still love going to rodeos. I don't photograph anymore. But I still love going to the rodeos and watching Dan get on. But the greatest thing, or one of the good things for me, is my nephew Joe. He's got his young boy. He's like, what do you call him? Is my grandnephew or my great nephew? I don't know what
You're
you call
getting
him.
too old. I
But young
can't
Brandon, he's Brandon Stick. He's a good kid. And he's only been going a bit over 18 months, and that little bugger, he's riding up a storm. He's going good. And they're going over to Mesquite, Texas, end of September coming up. And they've asked me to go with them. So it's going to be good standing on the back of the chutes at Mesquite. And I'll catch up with some good buddies over there too, don't worry. It's going to be so good. I just love the way it's gone with these young kids with the mini bull rides and all that sort of stuff. These kids are professionals. You see them behind the chutes there, you know yourself, rosining up their ropes and they're getting all set and they're slapping themselves about a bit.
Yeah.
They're into it. And I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
So you love the way the sport's going at the moment?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone's doing the right things. And
Yep.
And credit to the guys carting the mini bulls, because there's no money in that, but they do
No,
it
that's, to me, that's a donation.
yeah,
Look, look at
100%.
look. I don't want to pick one out, but I know Matt Dokes.
Yeah.
He's doing a hell of a job.
Mm.
You know, terrific.
Yeah, and like you're not getting a lot of trip money for mini bulls.
No,
You're doing that to help kids.
wouldn't
and-
even cover your diesel.
No,
No.
and it's a credit to them guys that they're doing it because they love it and they want the sport to
Yeah.
get better.
Yeah.
And like, there's a lot of people that aren't in the sport. They want to have the best buck and bull in Australia, but that's not much good if you have no one getting on him.
That's right.
So it's all these fellas that are carting these mini bulls, carting them good junior bulls,
Yep.
that are building cowboys up so that they can actually make a career.
Yep.
Because anyone can just put a kid on something that's too good for them. It's not going to help them at all.
Pretty good round here. We got Michael Murphy down the road. He's only about 1.5 kilometres down the road. He's got a good setup.
Mm.
Rick and Jody have got a good pen here, a good setup here, and small. But the unfortunate part about it is we haven't got enough little bulls for these kids to get on. So what they got to do is get on young bulls that are going to make it later on. They're not minis, but they're growing bulls, if you know what I'm saying, you know. And but they still come out and they get on them and, you know, they have a bit of fun. But it's a little bit hard because a lot of these bulls are bred.
Yeah.
Bred bucking bulls.
And a bit too much.
A little bit too waspy, you know. It was funny, like Mort, our old mate Mort, he was going to put his grandson Denver on this little potty raised calf we got here. We raised him on a bucket. I forget his name now. Anyway, Wendell, that's right. His little white bull, so we named him Wendell after Wendell Sailor. So anyway, Mort said to me one day, he said, we're bucking bulls here. He said, oh, we'll put young Denver on that bull. I said, I wouldn't if I were you. He's only little. I said, he's as waspy as they come. He's raised on the bucket. He said, nah, you'd be right. I said, don't put him on, Mort. So they run him up the chute, and Dan probably had a few beers in him, hopped on with no rope, no nothing. And he's wrecked Dan. He destroyed him. Turkey trampled him, jumped all over him, kicked the living shit out of him. Oh, it was funny. It was funny. I couldn't stop laughing. I nearly wet myself laughing. It was funny. Yeah. Anyway, that's the way it goes.
Took a bit of sting out of Dan.
Oh, shut him right up.
Probably something he needed.
Oh, from time to time, but we're all guilty of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's why I tour around so much. I need to keep finding new people that actually do it to me.
Yeah.
Quiet me down a bit.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, what was your biggest wreck you've had in rodeo?
I got out of it pretty light. I dislocated shoulders a few times. That's about it. Got knocked out a few times. That was mainly after the rodeo. With my mouth, you know. But anyway, it was all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I survived. Thank Christ.
And what year did you start the photography?
83. And I quit like 2 years ago. Maybe three. I don't know.
And
Time gets away.
yeah. And what year did you get hooked up with the PBR doing?
I don't know what year it was, but I was with them for about 20 odd years.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 2000.
Oh, I loved it.
Mm.
I loved it. But I've had to walk away from it because, there's no particular reason. Maybe sometimes you just say, I've had enough. I've done that for long enough. I'll do something else, you know?
Yeah.
And the something else I'm doing is staying at home, doing a bit of cooking. You know? Yeah.
And you would have seen some amazing bull rides behind the camera.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there a standout one that you've seen? Or a couple?
With the quality of bulls and the quality of riders these days, you can't pick one out.
Yeah.
There's so much of it going on. But I will tell you, with bronc riding, it was at Nambour National Finals. I think it was 75, way back in 75. I was riding them days. Darrell Kong in the bronc riding drew a horse called DCA, and he was a pretty big lump of a horse with feather foot, feather-footed horse. And he made a bronc ride that day that stamped on my brain. Like, that horse jumped and kicked, turned back like a buck, like a bull actually. And he lifted on his rein and spurred that sucker in the neck every jump. And it's the best bronc ride I've ever seen, and I've never seen one to match it ever in my life. Yeah, that's Darrell Kong, good friend of mine too, Kongy. A little Chinese fella. He's I think he's in his 70s. He's same age, probably a bit older than me now. Doesn't look a day different than he did. I don't know how he does it. Must be all that fried rice. He's a wonderful fellow, Darrell, a good friend of mine. Yeah.
Is that what keeps him young, you reckon?
I don't know. He's a terrific bloke, terrific fella. Yeah.
What did they score him?
Oh, I can't remember. Shit, mate, I'm 74. I can't remember that far back.
You remember
he probably
enough.
got 74.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's a great fellow, Darrell.
Yeah. It'd be amazing the friends you've met over rodeo.
And the good thing about that is that they're still friends.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if you haven't seen them for 40 years, still friends. You know, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's another good thing about Facebook too. I mean, Facebook's not everyone's cup of tea, but you do keep in contact with people. Years ago, we wrote letters or made phone calls. Now you got Facebook. I said, beep, beep, see ya.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the world gets really small now with Facebook. Like, because I got friends in America and Europe, like Junior, like you've obviously met William.
Love them fellas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talk every week because on Facebook you can just call.
He knows he can come out here for breakfast anytime he wants.
Yeah. So how did you meet Junior's dad, William Dugan?
Well, it was funny. I thought he was a Brazilian because Shirley and I are in Brazil at Olympia, which is about an hour's drive, I think, or roughly half an hour, I don't know, from Barretos, where the big rodeo was. So here we are, we're standing in the foyer of this hotel, and this fella had the biggest grey hat I've ever seen. It was huge. Big hat and long hair. And I thought, he's got to be a Brazilian. And then I meet him, and he spoke really good English. And I said, you from Brazil? He said, no. He said, I'm from Belgium. I said, oh, yeah. And got to meet him and his lovely girl.
Caroline.
Wife. Caroline, yeah. Got to meet, and William, Junior.
Yeah.
Over the next 4 days we stayed there. Oh, we're just best of friends. You know? Oh, I love them people. Good people.
Yeah, Belgium's got a soft spot in my heart. Like they're the
William, he's a wild-looking bugger, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Yeah.
And he's just made a living off being a cowboy.
Yeah.
In a country you never thought was possible.
We'll never take off.
Yeah.
And look what they're doing.
And that's all he's done.
Gypsy Horses Ranch.
Since he was 16, and the only place he could wear a cowboy hat and work was at a pizza shop. Yeah. So that's where he started, and then he got hooked up with the Americans and started his ranch and just been cowboy ever since.
They've offered me, Cheryl and I, to come over there, and we never have, but we might. We might, yeah.
Yeah, they got a big show coming up the end of this year, the Indian Summer Show, they call it.
Yeah.
And it's, I think they get 4,000 people and huge show. And, like I've been over there, I think 5 times now. And, just take you in. Everything's taken care of. Nothing to worry about. And you'd never think you're in a non-speaking English country. Like, not the first language.
And rodeo.
Yeah, and rodeo.
Yeah.
And
weird.
like it feels like you're in America, like when you're at their ranch.
Yep.
But you're actually in Belgium, and
yep.
We'll take a quick little break and then we'll get back into it.
Good one.
Ozcan Rural, providing Southwest Victoria with everything related custom sheep and cattle yards. Get in touch with the fellas via email ozcanrural@gmail.com. That's AUS, can like the one you drink, rural@gmail.com. Building fences straighter than your local politician. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
So, we were speaking outside, like, we spoke about how wonderful your wife is, Shirley. Like, continue on with that.
Well, it's... Where do I go?
How old were you when you met her?
I was...
Let's start there.
I think I was 19, sorry, and she was just turning 18, yeah. And we went together for 4 years, but I hardly ever saw her in that 4 years because she was travelling with the parents around the country and all that sort of thing. Then we got married, and then a year or so later, along come Jody, and, you know, I was disappointed. I wanted a boy. Once I took one look at Jody when she was 15 minutes old, and I said, I wouldn't have swapped her for 10 boys. You know? And I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, my mum always looked after the cowboys that I brought home and that sort of stuff, and fed them and whatnot. Don't matter what time of the night it was. She'd get up and cook them a feed if they were hungry. And that's continued on. We still do it. And it's continued on. And Jody has always done it. She grew up with cowboys in the house, you know. And it's just the way it is. It's just flowed on from there, and that's the way it should be too, you know.
And I think that's what makes our sport so special, is because there's a lot of sports, like, because I had the boxing background, and it's not like that at all. And you found rodeo, and that just good-hearted people that are just there to help everyone. That's what makes this sport so great.
That's why it's what we'd call an extended family, I guess you'd call it. And every now and again, someone turns up, they got a new fella with them or a new girl with them or something like that. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Because they don't not to bring idiots.
Yeah.
They don't bring the wrong people. When I say idiots, I mean the wrong people. I shouldn't call people idiots, but there are some out there. But we just love it when they turn up and they become family, you know.
Yeah.
PBR's like that, but rodeo in general is like that if you open your house up to the right people.
Yeah. And then once you let the right ones in, then they bring the right ones to come.
That's exactly what I'm saying, yeah.
Like, it's the amount of people that I'd give my wallet, and I've met them for 15 minutes because I've met them through rodeo, is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you just meet them good-hearted people that you know that there's not a bad bone in them.
No.
They're hard buggers, and they'll fight if they have to, but there's just no wrong in them.
No.
And it's amazing that rodeo still has that, especially in the time like how wild the world we live in is now, that rodeo still keeps it so normal.
Don't even get me started on the world we live in.
Podcast won't go long enough.
I can be political, but we'll keep that right out of it, yeah. But no, I'm hearing you, Bennett. Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, because everyone's like, because I remember, like, in Bendigo, I'd walk down the street and I'd get Brokeback Mountain and all this stuff trying to, like, take the piss out of me. Now that Yellowstone, all these other Zach Bryan and that made it popular, I don't get none of it. Now I'm the king. But I think that it's not just the TV shows. I think the world's got so crazy now that they're starving for real and just normal, good-hearted people. Like, people are sick of how wild everything's got, that they just want what we have in rodeo. And I think that's why country just hasn't got popular for no reason. It's because everything's got so out of control with the world we live in that people are looking for real, and that's what cowboys are. It is real because anyone that's fake won't survive.
No.
Like mustering cattle, it's just too hard.
I'm in love with where I live,
Mm.
and that's the whole thing. And who I live with, who's around me, I'm in love with the whole deal.
Yeah.
You know, I love it.
Because working 18 hours a day is pretty easy when you're around people you like being around.
Geez, I wouldn't be able to work 18 hours a day at my age.
But it's like that in the country. It never ends.
Well, it's like Rick says, you never have to look for something to do. The work's always there. You never have to look for it. You just got to walk out, look over the paddock. Oh shit, there's a busted wire. You know, like, go fix it. Otherwise, you got bulls out in the road. Yeah.
And that's what I'm in love with what we do, because now doing the podcast, I was filming podcasts and I filmed it at the ranch back in Victoria, and I had a pipe blow, so Bryden Atkins, he was coming on. He's like,
kid.
oh, we'll just go down and fix it.
Good kid, Bryden.
And that's the mindset that everyone has. Like,
Yep.
It's just what we do. Like, something blows out in the farm, we just go and fix it. We don't call plumbers. We don't.
No, you do it yourself.
That's what we do. And I think that's so great that, like, anyone that comes, it's like, oh, you got a problem? Let's go and do it.
Yep.
Like, oh, you got bulls out in the road. Like, all right, I'll jump on a horse, whatever.
Well, if your neighbour's bulls are out, give them a call and tell them your bulls are out, and I'll give you a hand to get them back in. You know? That Bryden's dad, Steve, was a really good mate of mine, Steve Atkins, old Fez.
Yeah.
He rode bulls till he was 43.
Yeah.
He did, and he rode them good. Yeah.
And where did he get his nickname Fez?
I don't know, to be honest.
Because I asked Bryden about it and he doesn't know.
No, I got no idea.
So that's
No
like
idea.
an unknown.
Where do we all get our nicknames from? Geez, I've had some. I've had some in the past, I'll tell you.
What's some of your favourites?
I don't like none of them. Dickhead, maybe. No, I don't like any of them. When I was a little kid, they used to call me Sprag, because I used to shoot sparrows with the Shanghai. And they were called Sprags, and that was my nickname, Sprag. But yeah, I wiped that one off pretty quick. I don't like that, you know. Double D is my nickname.
Yeah.
Because that was me brand on my photographs, of Double D photos. And a lot of people these days just call me D-double-E, you know. But not everyone, but just the ones that really count.
No, yeah.
Yeah, they do, yeah. So.
And when you're a young fella, Roddy, and obviously your old man got you started, but who were the big influences that kept you going down the road?
Well, there was two friends of me dad's. Like, they were older than me but younger than me dad. And there was Jimmy Greenaway and Des Gilby. Des Gilby, he passed away a few years ago. They were both very good bareback riders. And I was only a bit of a mongrel kid riding calves, you know, and steers and stuff, and itching to get on bareback horses. So Dad said to him, keep an eye on him because he's going to get on him. So, and I did. And for years they looked after me. Every time a horse ran up and then I was getting on, they'd be there. And I'll never forget them for that, you know. And Jimmy's still going. He's well in his late 80s now. Like I said, Desi's passed. But they were so good to me. They were a confidence builder for me. You know, it's good to have that little bit of support from older people, you know. Yeah. And
that worked for you with the older people, but it's people like Dan and Michael Smith. They were the same thing what they would have been for you. Like, because when I got into it, it was new for me. And it was guys that were where I wanted to be, and they were helping me and actually giving the effort and showing the time that, like, I didn't start riding bulls till I was 28, so...
That's a late start.
It's a late start, but it doesn't change because my ability...
You'd only be 29 now, wouldn't you?
I look it. But it's someone that's where you want to be, helping you. It elevates you.
It does. Like, it gives you that support, you know.
Because it makes you feel like you're where you want to be.
Yeah.
Like if they're with you, then you can be with them.
Yep.
And instead of them just helping you out, you're just one of them.
Yeah.
And then
And it means a lot.
Mm,
It does. It gives you a little bit of a boost,
mm.
or big boost actually. Yeah.
And like a lot of guys are good, like especially in the friend group that we have, like Dan, Clay, all them guys, like they'll help anyone to get
All
on.
good kids.
Mm.
All good kids.
And I think everybody needs to make the effort to do that because it's something that means nothing to you means a lot to someone else.
It does, exactly, yeah. Yeah.
So, like, a simple act of pulling a rope or spotting someone means the world to them where it takes a minute out of your time.
Well, I'll give you an example on that. Many years ago at Grafton Rodeo. Now I can't think of this kid's name. I really can't. But I probably could if I wasn't on the spot. It'd probably come to me. But I was at Grafton Rodeo when I was probably 18, 19, and they were running these calves up, these Angus calves, and they were fat and sappy, and they were bucking kids off. And I watched these fellas. They're putting these flat ropes, no handhold, nothing, flat ropes. And they were putting their hand in and not taking a wrap round the back. And these kids would ride 2 jumps in a rope and pull off, you know. And this big tall kid, I bloody put his rope on for him and wrapped his hand in for him. I think he was riding 2 hands in them days. And that kid rode his calf and he won 3rd in the calf riding. About 30 years later, I'm at the bar at Warwick Rodeo. He said, "Are you Darrell Doyle?" I said, "Yeah, why?" "I want to thank you for helping me in the calf ride at Grafton. All those years ago, I got 3rd. Only ride I've ever had." He said, "That ribbon hangs above my bed." He said, "I want to thank you for it." How good is that?
Yeah.
You know,
that's amazing.
It means the world to me, you know? Yeah.
And, yeah, that just goes to show that, like, them little things that are nothing are a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And it costs us nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it takes no time out of your day because I'm actually, if a young fella comes up to me and wants me to pull his rope, I'm actually on it because they obviously look up to me or think that I'm something they want to be, and that's why they're asking me. And so I take that as something to be proud of, that a young fella wants me to help him out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, and it costs nothing.
No, it costs you nothing. It's like a smile costs you nothing.
Yeah.
A wave costs you nothing. G'day, that's it. You're driving down the road and someone goes like that and you ignore him, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Just give him a wave, poor bugger. He's happy to see you, you know.
And you spoke about your old man doing the tent shows. You had a lot to do with the Gills rodeo?
Not a lot. I've had a lot to do with the Gill family.
Yeah.
But way back when I think I was about 21, I don't know. They had a pretty famous bucking horse called Bonanza. Now, I don't know, he bucked until he was like 35 or something. He wasn't a real big horse, but he had some gas. They had him in the tent show for years. Actually, he was a mustering horse from Gundawindi, from, I think, Col McTaggart or Bruce McTaggart had him, one of the McTaggarts. And Peter Gill, Peter's dad, Peter and Happy's dad, old Jack Gill, Senior, bought him as a 9-year-old, I believe, put him in the tent because he's a dirty little bastard, you know. So anyway, they put him in the tent and he bucked for years. He won Bucking Horse of the Year a few times and in the pro shows. So I got on him at Gatton one afternoon, threw me off in the tent. Okay. Following Wednesday, I get on him at Ipswich, threw me off, kicked me in the back of the head. Saturday, I'm at Rosewood Show. I've just won 2 steer rides, 2 bullock rides. I used to ride with me bareback spurs, see. Dad's waiting over at the tent show. with me rigging, and I jumped the fence and run across and got on him, and I rode him. I rode him the third trip. Yeah, but he was a handful. That little horse could buck, you know. And I remember Happy telling me one day he got on him about 9 times in a tent one afternoon, in a saddle. You know, that's way back when. You know, holy shit, tough little horse.
Explain to people, like, how did they used to set them tent shows up? Like, it was tight and rope?
It was a little pen, like a little round arena. And you had the tent, of course, on the outside. And then you had 2 chutes, or 1 chute, I forget now, probably 2, I think. And then you had a little feed up with an open side, like a chute, and a side wall, canvas. And if someone was outside and said, "Sidewall," you'd lift it up and they'd lead a bull in or lead a horse in. Lead them in. Bulls with a nose ring and that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. 007, Dr. Jekyll, Fireball, Black Stump, bloody Dumfries Devil, lead them all in. And they'd buck them. And the local mugs would get half full of grog and get on them, see? But, and a few good cowboys too. Matter of fact, I mentioned to you a while ago about Dave Chilcott. He actually travelled with the Gills and rode for them. He'd be, if he wasn't riding bulls or broncs, he'd be catching up, you know what I mean? Like, there's no pickup men in them little rings. You had to run in and catch up. So you catch them by the holder, pull the kicker off, pull the flank girth off, and just run around. All broke in horses, but they bucked.
Yeah.
You know. And probably the best rides I ever saw in Gill's tent show was Peter Gill. And I saw him ride this mare 3-4 times. A big chestnut mare called Charlton Kate. Now, Peter was a fantastic bareback rider. And I never ever thought he was much of a bronc rider until I never saw him on broncs. I always saw him just a bareback rider. But Peter got on this Charlton Kate about 3 or 4 times that I saw him. Some of the rankest bronc rides I've ever seen, he did on that mare in that tent. And it's like bucking a horse in your kitchen. There's no room. And she jump and kick and crack 'em, you know, and she meant it. And Peter would just step off and land on his feet. He's one of the greatest showmen ever, Peter Gill.
How big would them rings be inside the actual bucking ring?
Big as your kitchen.
that
I mean, if you take from where we are now out to the kitchen out here, that's it. The lounge room and the kitchen, that's big actually.
Oh, so it wouldn't be more than 10 metres round.
That's it. Not even that. You know, I can make a quick phone call and get the dimensions for you if you want. Yeah, and that's where I met Happy for the first time. Happy Gill is a wonderful friend of mine. Happy still is. I think he's 88 now. We get on the phone a bit now and again, a bit of a yarn. He's down at Wagga. He's just a walking computer. You ask him something about rodeo, he'll give you days and dates. He will. he can dot the T's and dot the I's and cross the T's. Get it right. He's wonderful. Yeah, good old mate of mine.
I've been in talks. We're trying to get him on here because
I'll get him on. You won't shut him up. No, he's a wonderful bloke. Happy. Yeah.
He's a bit like you. He's like, oh, no one wants to listen to me. I was like, no, we do.
I'd like you to get Peter on there too. Peter's just up here at Kingaroy, not far out of Kingaroy. I'll have a yarn him if you like.
Yeah, give him a call.
Peter's a hive of information too, you know.
And I think it's important, especially like we're in a new age now. Like, well, even 10 years ago, podcasts weren't a big thing, but nowadays it's where a lot of young fellas find their information.
Yeah.
And I think like having this, like getting hold of fellas that have done what we want to do, made a living off riding bulls, riding horses, and then having a good career after that. It's good to listen to it when it's in your own backyard. Because there's so many podcasts in America and all that, and it feels out of reach, but these young fellas listen to just normal fellas like you and made a living and made a good life out of rodeo.
Oh, it's all about people, mate.
Mm.
All about people.
And if they hear it, then it's believable for them. It's
Yeah.
something that they can do. And
Well, see, we got Rick and Jody got the little practice pen here, and they got their bulls. They breed their bucking bulls. Then down the road, I've got Michael Murphy, he's another good friend of mine, a real good pickup man too. He's got a good setup down there, and he's got his own bulls as well. So between the two of them here, two places, all these young fellas come out. And geez, you're a good bunch of kids. You know,
Yeah.
they really are. Well, the smart asses don't last long, do they?
yeah,
But all these young kids come out there and they like you say, they wear their heart on their sleeve sort of thing. And they'll look at you and they think, what will this old fella know? So I'll just get up. Well, we started riding, bucking some bareback horses, you know. And I'll get up and flank their horses for them and set their riggings. And they'd be thinking, what would he know? He's an old fella, you know. But apparently in between that, someone's gone and said, listen, because he knows what he's talking about. And then next time you put them on a horse, they're saying, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Because someone's gone and said to them, I think you might want to listen. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Someone said he does have a little bit of an idea. He's probably been on one or two.
Mm.
And it's good. And they're good kids. I love them, mate. Yeah.
And that's what that's the reason why I started this podcast because I started it because there's so many, like I've been fortunate enough to meet people like you but there's a lot of younger people starting that they don't get the opportunity to get in touch, and it's the wealth of information that people just hanging around here having a beer and that is amazing. So if you can get a podcast where you can talk and hear your story, and then when they know your story, they could come up and say, "Oh, Darrell, like, can you give me a hand getting on or show me?" Then they know your background and know where you're from and know what you're about, and know that if they come up to you, you're not gonna tell them to get lost. You're gonna be more than happy to help them.
See, a lot of young fellas these days, a lot of young people these days, only know me as a rodeo photographer. They don't know that I rodeoed.
Yeah.
Well, how come you're only a photographer and you're wearing a cowboy hat? I go, duh. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I've been cowboy for longer than you've been alive.
Shit, yeah. But anyway, that's the way it is.
Well,
But they'll find out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they find out.
What's a piece of advice you'd give to a young fella that wants to make a living riding bareback horses or just being a cowboy?
Doesn't matter what it is, just being a cowboy. If you buck off something, tip your hat to it, put it behind you, take the positives out of it, not the negatives. Leave the negatives behind you because you're dragging dead baggage to the next event. Next horse or bull you get on, you're dragging dead baggage. Drop it. Get on with a fresh mind. Greatest advice I can give them.
Yeah.
And put your foot down.
Yeah.
Go hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen to your mum.
Yeah. Yeah, but behind every tough cowboy is a good woman.
That's for sure. That is for sure. I can really relate to that. Yeah. Yep.
Like we spoke on your wife before, but it's amazing what she's helped you down the road.
If I'd never met my wife, Shirley, if I'd never met her, I don't know what I would have. I would have rodeoed, but I don't know where I would have finished up.
Yeah.
Because she's kept me straight and narrow. I still have a beer and all that sort of stuff, but she don't mind that so much.
Yeah. Well, she always seen how good you are. Like, it didn't matter about the outside stuff. Like, she knew how good of a man you are.
Well, she must have seen something there, but I don't know what. But no, it's all good, and everyone loves Shirl.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Shirl, you know. And if they don't, well, they got to fight on their hands with me. So, not that I can fight, but come second a few times.
I'm sure enough of us around the Rulings can.
Oh, yeah.
It's the last person out at the ruling ranch you'd want to pick a fight with because...
Me Jody. And she can throw them, and so can Piper. She can throw them too, eh? But don't worry about Dan. He can whack a bit too.
Yeah, I was that honoured when Dan asked me to work his corner for his first
Yeah,
fight.
that was a good night.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Should do that again.
Yeah, the event they put on, I can't remember who the fellas that put it on, but they did a
You know,
fantastic
I'm
job.
on the next fight card up there, don't you?
Oh, really?
Yeah, me
Well,
and
the
Joe.
over 70s.
No, me and Joe Biden. I'll fly him out just to belt him.
You couldn't pick an easier target, could you?
Well, I'm trying. Yeah. I got to keep politics out of it.
Is there anyone else you feel like you need to give a shout out to, or
There's
someone?
probably about 5,000 of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, me dad. He's long gone now. But yeah, me dad and just pretty much everybody I've ever met that I've had good social contact with. Want to thank them all.
Yeah.
You know, everybody,
Yes, sir.
not just one person. Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and thank you very much. And I'm sure we'll get you back on again. And
Probably will. Let's go and have a whiskey.
sounds good. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Bennett.
Cheers.
Thank you.